This evening, the Babita Sarju case has finally been cracked open after 6 years of lying frozen. Historical and timely launching of Radio FM 95.1 FM on Sunday. Public Service COI report should not be left solely in the hands of the administration. Workmen labored tirelessly through the night to clean up the city. In the region, in St. Lucia, UWP leader Alan Chasney has outlined a plan to ease oppression. And internationally, Obama lifts 5 decades-long arms embargo on Vietnam.
From SAFETV headquarters in South Rambert Gardens, this is SAFETV Headline News with Rihanna Ahmed.
Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Join us. After 6 years, a puzzling missing persons case became a homicide. The skeletal remains, believed to be that of 28-year-old Babita Sarju, has been found. Here's more. For many months, a young boy cried himself to sleep, worried as to what could have happened to his mother over the past 6 years. In her absence, his father, Sharad Anandan Narain, was the closest thing he had, the person he trusted the most. That trust was shattered yesterday afternoon when the 10-year-old became aware of the fact that his mother was buried in the same yard where he ate, slept, and played for close to 7 years.
The remains was found at the back of the house in a shallow grave which was about 3 feet in depth. So far we believe the body is that of Babita Sarju. Nevertheless, for us to determine that 100% with certainty, we will need to do DNA testing. We have already obtained samples from the relative, and we also obtained samples from the remains, so we'll be sending up those samples to Trinidad sometime, maybe this week or early next week.
Crime Chief Wendell Blanham, just a few weeks after reopening the missing persons case of Babita Sarju, has turned everything around, and the case has now become a homicide. After an intense interrogation, the woman's reputed husband led investigators to the shallow grave at the back of the yard where the skeletal remains of the young woman were found, along with pieces of clothing.
I wish to commend the investigators. After hours and days of painstaking investigation, they were able to solicit crucial information which would have led to this breakthrough. And no longer are we treating the matter as a missing person, it is now a homicide.
When the DNA samples are sent to Trinidad, it will take some time before the results are returned to Guyana. But according to Blanham, this will not prevent police from instituting charges against Narain and his friend, All Boys Town resident Darrell Pronton.
We have established a case against both suspects, and we are in contact with a police legal advisor from the initial stage of the investigation, and very soon we'll be able to receive her legal opinion as it relates to instituting charges against both men.
Reports are that on the night of the Diwali motorcade in 2010, Sarju left her mother's Timiri East Bank Demerara home to meet her estranged husband and 4-year-old son. Headline News understands that when the woman got into the front seat of her husband's car, his friend Pronto was in the back seat instead of the couple's son. It was Pronto who reportedly strangled the woman from behind. Sources say that the unemployed man was paid $50,000 and promised a trip to Trinidad for killing Sarju. The woman disappeared at a time when she and her husband were engaged in a nasty court battle for their only son. Past president of the GTUC, Mr. Norris Witter, has expressed that the satisfactory recommendations coming out of the Public Service COI report should not be left solely in the hands of the administration. He expressed this in an exclusive interview with Kingsley Bryan on Friday.
The Public Service COI report is out and the process of examination has begun. The report has several recommendations, if properly implemented, would see many of the deficiencies in the public service being addressed. Mr. Witter, who has reviewed the document, is now advocating for these recommendations to be given serious attention, unlike past documents.
Guyana, over the past 2-3 decades, has never been short of reporting, of quality reports.
Yeah.
We have had all kinds of reports. You can talk about the Simmons report, the Hamilton report, all kinds of reports. Our problem has always been the lack of political will to implement the recommendations emanating out of those reports.
The veteran trade unionist stated it would be a mistake for the Guyanese people and Labour to leave the implementing of those recommendations solely to the coalition government.
We will be making a very sad mistake. It is now our responsibility to ensure that the letter and spirit of that report is implemented. Right? We must see to it that the powers that be.
Mr. Witter said that while they are not expecting all aspects of the report to be implemented, they will have to begin some form of strategizing to deal with failure on part of the government.
I think we have an obligation. Labor has an obligation. The trade unions have an obligation to ensure that the report, having been received, studied, and so on, does not remain just a report to be placed on the shelves of whoever to gather dust and rot.
Mr. Witter noted that there must be wide consultations on the issue. Rihanna made it clear that these consultations cannot only be at the party level or between parties. He said that tripartite agreement must be honored.
Thank you, Kingsley. On Sunday, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu flipped the switch to turn on Radio Lethem 95.1 FM. He also made the first broadcast in the presence of Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan, Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Allicock, and Minister of Tourism with responsibility for telecommunications Catherine Hughes. Andrew Weeks has been following this story and filed this report.
My name is Moses Nagamutu, Prime Minister of Guyana, and I have now officially commissioned Radio Lethem 95.1 FM. Have fun listening and tuning right now from today and forever. This is your station, Rupununi. Thank you.
Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu flipped the switch to begin the broadcast of Radio Lethem 95.1 FM, making history in the region. It is one of the two projects announced earlier this year during the 2016 national budget, with Radio Mabaruma in the Northwest Districts also set to be on the airwaves before the end of June of this year. Addressing a packed crowd, the Prime Minister spoke about the historic nature of the event and the pivotal role people like veteran broadcaster Dr. Rovin Deodat played in the development of community radio and radio in general in the country.
The person who had been along that journey when we are talking about the broadcasting landscape of Guyana has always been Dr. Rovin Deodat. And he was one of the principal actors when I first produced, way back in 1993-94 period, a broadcasting policy for Guyana, in which I identified broadcasting as the principal vehicle to unite our Guyanese people. Because if you cannot spread the word of unity, you cannot achieve the objective of unity. And the only way you spread the word is to be able to communicate with all the communities of Guyana, from the coast to the hinterland, to the border areas, to the riverine areas, to the forested part, to the mountainous part, to the hills, Bina Hill.
The Prime Minister, who was then Minister of Information under the PPC administration, said it was recognized at the time that broadcasting was the principal vehicle for uniting the Guyanese populace.
It is because I believe that I had promised before that we should have accelerated growth and development of indigenous communities. They have been left back. And if we are celebrating 50 years of our independence as an independent nation, a proud and free country, why should we have some parts of Guyana left behind? Then no one must be left behind. And wherever you find communities in isolated areas, they must be brought up. They must be pulled up. They must be supported to stand up and to be part and parcel of this creative effort of moving Guyana forward, making Guyana great, making our Guyana proud, and all of us must take credit for what has been achieved today.
During the course of the commissioning, Dr. Deodat was recognized for holding the first training course for persons of Amerindian descent through a loan from UNESCO. That course led to the discovery of broadcaster Michelle Abraham Ali. Dr. Deodat also told the audience that the ceremony yesterday was a testimony to the durability of those who worked on the lead-up to Radio Lethem's launch, including the technical staff of NCN.
Ladies and gentlemen, all those who are within earshot of 95.1 FM, God bless us all. Let this radio station reign for a long time in the idea and concept in which it was born. Thank you so much.
Radio Lethem is supported with content from the National Communications Network, who will then provide radio coverage to communities in central Lethem, 20 to 30 miles from the radio station. Rihanna, it is interesting to know that NCN will be relaying its content to Radio Lethem. However, as time progresses, we will look forward to local programs being added to the airwaves. The station currently is voluntarily manned by 20 youth from the area, and they would be presenting the homegrown programs in the months to come. Rihanna, back to you.
Thanks, Andrew. Coming up on Headline News after the break, crews work the night shift to keep the city clean. And President Granger says there is no immediate need to reassign Minister Brooms.
If you're in town and you're looking for a mall with everything under one roof, then you need to go to the Parliament View Vendors Mall. Here is why.
I see money right now. And when people come in and people in the place, I tell them to come back and support us.
You can get your bread, your top of your fruits, your hats, your pants, everything in this one location.
The mall is very comfortable. The working facilities is more comfortable, so people feel more relaxed to come and support us.
Wonderful greens, fresh and nice, fresh calmo, cocoa, blondie, fresh and nice. We are right here, Parliament View.
Get the roads, the mountain, everything again. Clean out.
You know where we used to sell before? So them tell people want in your mall.
Come to Parliament View, get juice, milk and a bump from me.
Come and support us.
Go to the Parliament View Mall and support your vendors, support your persons who you bought from.
The new Parliament View Vendors Mall. Everything fresh and clean and in order at one location. Sponsored by the Mayor and City Council of Georgetown.
As we celebrate 50 years of Guyana's independence, let's get together and spend an evening at the Grand Best in 50 Retro Show and Dance on Friday, May 27th, 2016 at the Pegasus Poolside. Come and reminisce as you mix with the elegant, matured, and sophisticated while you enjoy the show and party to the best retro sounds. Tickets are $15,000 per couple and $8,000 for single with dinner included. Avoid disappointment and book your tickets and tables now. For bookings and tickets, call 223-6047 or 696-5746. That's 223-6047 or 696-5746. It's the Grand 50th Retro Show and Dance, Friday, May 27th from 8 p.m. at the Pegasus Poolside. Dress elegant, come early and stay late.
It will be the biggest celebration in the history of Guyana, the Golden Jubilee, with the biggest reggae artist of our time, along with his band performing over 3 decades of hit songs. A star, Christopher Martin and his band, plus Guyana's very own Tamika Marshall, Calvin Burnett, and the Heatwave Band. A night of great reggae music, 50 Shades of Reggae. Also performing Guyana's Lisa Punch, Friday, 27th of May at the National Park. Secure parking will be provided. Early bird tickets $3,000, $4,000 after.
VIP $15,000.
Brought to you by McNeil Enterprise, Hits and Jams Entertainment, HJ Waterworld, Fly Jamaica, the official airline, Star Party Rental, Hotel Tower, Nigel Supermarket,
TVG, Giftland Mall,
and Gizmos and Gadget.
I'll say, will you marry me? I swear that I will mean it. I say, will you marry me? Sing it.
John Lewis Styles, simply different. Basketball fans, get ready for the invasion of the mighty DC Jammers of the US of A. Yes, they are coming to challenge the reigning top 4 basketball clubs in Guyana. The Goodwill Tour begins on Saturday, May 21st, when the Jammers battle the Ravens. On Sunday, May 22nd, they take on the Raiders from Linden. The action continues on Tuesday, May 24, when they match up with the Pacesetters. Then come Friday, May 27th, the DC Jammers takes on MVP Stanton Rose and his champion club, the Bounty Colts. All games starts at 18:30 hours at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall. Supporting games will feature Youth Basketball Guyana. Tickets cost $1,000. Children under 12 absolutely free. Chow Power will be in the house with lots of giveaways. Don't you dare miss the excitement. It's a Jubilee celebration. Basketball is back, sponsored by Mackinson.
Everybody Guyana is turning the Big 5-0, and we're planning the biggest celebration to mark 9 to 6 a.m. Celebrate with some of the most electrifying performances from Kez the Band, Kestra, Kerwin DuBois, Marshall, Gilmo, Crazy Ace, Shelly, Super Ray, Jackie Jacks, the Heatwave Band, Fusion, and Boom FM DJs at GCC Ground Borda.
Tickets $2,000, $3,000 at the gate, $12,000 stage front.
Independence Juve. Come, let's have a good time together.
Men work tirelessly in order to give us a cleaner, greener, and flood-free Georgetown. George Gonzalez was on the streets to find out what surprising methods are being used in order to maintain the city.
Well, I have a porter with me and the supervisor.
And the supervisor?
Yeah, but he is on another truck because there's a porter shot on the truck, so he's advertising on the truck. Also, there's another truck working on the east bank, on the east coast.
The men here are cleaning up the trash and silt that gather in the street gutters. In this section of the road, drains lead from the gutters under the sidewalk and into the trench that runs parallel to the street. When the drainage pipes are clogged by refuse, debris, or silt, water is not able to effectively run off into the trench. During heavy rainfall, the water collects on the road, causing it to flood. To prevent this, the cleanup will not end on May 26. The men are scheduled to maintain the roads indefinitely.
Definitely, this is an ongoing thing. This is, for the balance of the time. As long as God permits us, we'll do it. Keep it clean. God is clean, and without cleanliness, there is nothing.
Fellow Guyanese, you can show appreciation for the hard work of these men by joining in and doing your part in making Guyana a cleaner and greener place. Rihanna?
Thanks, George. President David Granger says there is no need to reassign Minister Brooms, since those claims of a conflict of interest are yet to be proven. He, however, advised that should it be found, consequence will be the expected outcome. Kingsley Bryan provides the details in this report.
Just last week, Minister Brooms defended her position to the media, noting that she had done nothing wrong by transferring her dredge to her children. But that has not calmed the heat, since there are still those calls for her head. President Granger says he's aware of the issue but does not see a present conflict of interest.
The functions she performed within that ministry do not necessarily come into conflict with the fact that her children own that property. Minister of Natural Resources is an experienced attorney, and I've asked him for his views, and I will be guided by his advice.
The president said that Minister Trotman also held investigations into the matter. President Granger said, however, that measures are in place to deal with rogue ministers, and in the case of Minister Brooms, he advised the following.
I do not see that there's any need to remove her. And if any situation, we have a draft code of conduct, and if any situation were to arise.
But last week, another document surfaced in the media, which showed Minister Brooms applying for use of someone else's land for mining activity while serving as a minister. That very outlet caught up with Minister Trotman, who was unaware of this. Minister Trotman has said that he didn't see it as a conflict of interest if Minister Brooms mined on somebody's property. However, if she used her office in order to gain an advantage, that would be a conflict.
Thank you, Kingsley. Guyanese fashion designers displayed their designs last night in order to raise money for a worthy cause.
Last night, top fashion designers from around Guyana presented their latest designs during an evening of fashion and entertainment at Duke Lodge in Kingston. The program was titled Woven of Love. This was a fundraiser event planned by brothers Lloyd and Pearson Gilliams. The proceeds of the fashion show went to develop the Information Technology Lab of the Harold B.
They might have a problem with their hands, but they have the ability. So instead of you having to bore them into writing, we have the iPads that we use, but the iPads, we need more.
The Harold B. David Special School, formerly known as the Ptolemy Reed Rehabilitation Center, seeks to improve the lives of persons with physical and mental disabilities. The school's curriculum is developed in conjunction with the Ministry of Education. In fact, some of the students even take the common entrance exams and move on to lead productive lives.
Presently, right now, we have a child who is at the Selimari School.
Event featured up-and-coming as well as established fashion designers. One designer's clothing line is entitled Jubilee. The clothes were vibrant and colorful, reflecting the theme of the line, Guyana's 50th Independence Anniversary Celebration. Afterwards, the audience was entertained by the musical stylings of steel pan artists Aubrey Bryan and Terrence Benjamin. Rihanna, this was a night of celebration, and it was designed to support a worthy cause. The event raised funds for the Harold B. Special School. The proceeds from the event will surely aid the school in its mission to enrich the lives of persons with disabilities in Guyana. Rihanna?
Thank you, George. Still ahead, our regional and international news.
Women's fashion trends change every day. That's why John Lewis Styles makes it their duty to source items directly from the manufacturing brand, offering you more choices and better prices. Women love to look great, whether it's for work or play, from clothing, shoes, accessories, to handbags, watches, fragrances. Let's make you feel like the only girl in the world. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
As we celebrate 50 years of Guyana's independence, let's get together and spend an evening at the grand Best in 50 Retro Show and Dance on Friday, May 27th, 2016 at the Pegasus Poolside. Come and reminisce as you mix with the elegant, matured, and sophisticated while you enjoy the show and party to the best retro sounds. Tickets are $15,000 per couple and $8,000 for single with dinner included. Avoid disappointment and book your tickets and tables now. For bookings and tickets, call 223-6047 or 696-5746. That's 223-6047 or 696-5746. It's the grand 50th Retro Show and Dance, Friday, May 27th from 8 p.m. at the Pegasus Poolside. Dress elegant, come early and stay late.
Sometimes there's just too much information to keep up with when you're pregnant. What you should and should not eat, what kind of exercise is right for you, how to handle mood changes, even how to determine when it's time for delivery.
Don't let your pregnancy be a burden. Watch The Baby Story on SAFETV Channel 2 every weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Now you can know all you need to know from conception to delivery when you watch The Baby Story on SAFETV Channel 2. Seems like people will try just about anything to lose weight these days. But nothing works better than proper dieting and exercise. So if you're guilty of eating the wrong foods, not finding time to exercise, or can't afford a gym, join SAFETV Channel 2 for Body and Spirit. Aerobics workout with Dick Nunez.
Hello, I'm Dick Nunez. Welcome to Body and Spirit Aerobics.
Weekday mornings from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Don't hesitate. Act now, because your greatest wealth is your health.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
In news from the region now, in St. Lucia, UWP leader Alan Chastney has outlined a 5-point plan that he says is guaranteed to ease the financial strain put on the backs of citizens by what he views as oppressive Labour government policies. He made the statements at a UWP meeting last night. Don Nicholas reports.
UWP political leader Alan Chastney outlined 5 major steps that his party will take to alleviate the financial burden on the backs of citizens. If elected into office, he will 1. Remove VAT, 2. Reduce vehicle licenses by 50%, 3. Double the school feeding and transport subsidies, 4. Put an amnesty on hospital fees, and 5. Remove the property tax for a period of 3 years.
It cannot be that the one thing that we've struggled so long to do, which is to own our own house, and that after paying a mortgage for so many years, that a government would come and impose a property tax and cause us to lose our home. That is not the St. Lucian way. That is not the United Workers' Party way, and it too must go.
Chastney gave Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony an ultimatum. Call elections by June 27th, or the UWP will organize a vote of no confidence march. As newly endorsed UWP candidate for Castries Central Sarah Flood Bobra came to the podium, her predecessor Peterson Francis handed over the torch to her. As she addressed the gathering, Mrs. Bobra called for a no-nonsense approach in dealing with the criminal elements.
He's now begging criminals to give us a break. We need to have a government that criminals will know they cannot mess about because we will deal with them.
Castries Southeast MP Guy Joseph spoke about providing employment for men who are unable to find jobs to support their children through various employment agencies. He says once this is done, money will be deducted from their salaries to help support their children. Joseph deemed this a far better alternative than sending these men to Bordelais, which according to him is a much more costly venture. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
And internationally, Obama lifts a 5-decades-long arms embargo on Vietnam. The United States announced a complete end to its arms embargo on Vietnam on Monday. It was a historic step that draws a line under the two countries' old enmity, and underscores their shared concerns about China's growing military clout. Euronews reports.
US President Barack Obama has announced that the United States is to lift its arms embargo on Vietnam, which has been in place for 50 years. Obama's visit comes 4 decades after the end of the Vietnam War and is part of a wider US strategy to improve relations across the Pacific. The president outlined the procedures Hanoi must follow.
As with all our defense partners, sales will need to still meet strict requirements, including those related to human rights. But this change will ensure that Vietnam has access to the equipment it needs to defend itself and removes a lingering vestige of the Cold War.
Boeing has benefited from improving relations with the announcement that low-cost carrier VietJet has placed an $11.3 billion order for 100 Boeing 737 passenger aircraft.
And that's SAFETV2 Headline News for this Monday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find SAFETV2 Headline News on Facebook and YouTube. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast and in the evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm Rihanna Ahmad signing out from your newscast.